It's time for the North Idaho Prepcast on IdahoSports.com.
Hey, what's up? It is another edition of the North Idaho Prepcast on IdahoSports.com, where we break down the biggest stories in District 1 and 2 athletics week in, week out in the great state of Idaho. My name is Brandon Baney, and you can tune in to the IdahoSports.com North Idaho Prepcast live. We do it usually probably 9 times out of 10, Wednesday mornings, 10 a.m. on the IdahoSports.com YouTube channel, Facebook page, and X account. You can, of course, go back and watch this Prepcast on replay anytime at those 3 destinations as well. You can also, if you're on the go and you're an audio content person, you can listen to the North Idaho Prepcast at IdahoSports.com. All of our Prepcasts are on the left side of the homepage. And you can also download and subscribe to the North Idaho Prepcast on your favorite podcast app, Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, etc. Let's bring in our North Idaho resident and expert. This is the guy that we really lean on for the heavy analysis. It is Ryan Scaggs. What's up?
What's going on?
Yo, we are in the throes of spring break in North Idaho. Mother Nature not really wanting to cooperate. It has been raining. How many days in a row now up here? 4 or 5.
Gosh. We're probably 5 or 6 for sure, I would say. I know that my kid keeps begging me to set up his rock stand outside, and I keep not letting him because I don't want to see him sit out in the rain for hours on end. But yeah, he's got that entrepreneur bug. So the weather has not been cooperating for his money-making ventures.
Okay, you've got to explain this to me. Okay, first, speaking of money-making ventures, the North Idaho Prepcast is brought to you by Cornerstone Insurance Northwest. CornerstoneInsuranceNW.com, licensed in 5 states, Idaho, of course, and then all of Idaho's great neighbors, some greater than others, Montana, Oregon, Washington, and also Oklahoma. So those are the states where you can, if you live in any of those 5 states, go to CornerstoneInsuranceNW.com and they'll take care of you there. Okay. So
Arizona. So yeah.
What's that?
It's soon to be Arizona. So yeah.
Okay. All right.
Gotta chase those people that snowbird, So yeah.
Just stay away from that oceanfront property in Arizona, as George
right.
Strait once said.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about what your rock stand. I gotta admit, immediately I thought like rock and roll, like rock music, but this something different.
Well, I mean, he is learning guitar too, so that may kind of some busking might enter his ventures as well at some point down the road, but. No, so he started selling rocks last summer, and it was a wild hit within our neighborhood. For like a week, he made somewhere like over $100 within a couple days, selling rocks that we collect at the beach and stuff like that, and places that we've gone, out in the woods and everything too. And so, for Christmas, he got a rock tumbler because he wants to improve his rock stand and sell higher quality products this year. And so he's been tumbling rocks all winter. And so he's got a nice bevy of surplus to sell. And so he wants to set up his stand during spring break and sell some more rocks. So he's kind of dying to get started on that one as well. So
cool. I'm assuming these are kind of like unique looking rocks or.
Yeah. Some of them are like legit. Like he's found like some tiger's eye and some jasper and some other stuff too. So like there's like some legit gemstones that he has. But also a ton of agates and stuff too that he's found. So he's kind of a little rock hound, which is cool. So I'm supporting him in that because he wants to make some money. And I'm like, all right, dude, like go at it.
There's that very famous picture online. I'm sure you've seen it of the Clearwater River, not the actual Clearwater River, a clear river. And it's got all these incredible looking river rocks that are all these different colors. And I'm like, that I've never seen that in my life. I've seen a couple, different colored river rocks, but nothing like the picture online. I'll try to find it, but it's
found some legit ones. And like we went to the coast, we go to the coast every summer, and he's found like little coves full of agates and stuff too. So there's some cool stuff that he's got. It's actually like pretty neat. I think eventually he'll get into doing some of the rock sales, like at the gem shows at the fairgrounds. But for right now, it's just kind of a neighborhood affair, and he's shaking down people to buy rocks. So, I mean, he's young. He can probably get away with it. If I'm sitting out there selling rocks, probably people are going to drive by and look at me weird. But, young entrepreneur, he tends to stop traffic pretty quickly. So.
Yes. Okay, I found the picture I was talking about, but it was on Reddit, and the subject line was not appropriate to share, so I can't. Interesting as you know what is the subreddit. Hey, look who we've got in the chat here. And again, if you're hanging out watching this, we would love to hear from you. If you've got a question for us, Zane Hobart, Kendrick Tigers head football coach, my two favorite people. Thanks for the work, fellas. Hey, we appreciate it, Zane. Certainly. We were actually going to start with the Kendrick Tigers baseball and softball programs. I know those are two programs that are near and dear to Coach Hobart's heart. Last night, they took on Prairie in a White Pine League affair. Kendrick earns the sweep in Julietta. They were playing at separate facilities at the same time. But another impressive showing for Kendrick. Let's start with baseball. Xavier Carpenter was an absolute menace. He finishes 3 for 3, 3 RBIs, 3 runs scored. So he is single-handedly responsible for 6 of the 9 runs that scored, and also had 4 stolen bases. That's a pretty good stat line for Xavier Carpenter.
Yeah, he's finding a way to be the fly in the ointment for the opposing pitching staff and team and infielders. I mean, he's probably getting to know their siblings' names, maybe a little chirping going on the base paths too. If you have a night like that, you've kind of earned your right to maybe have a few words around the bases. But no, he's a good kid and a great athlete. And kind of what we've talked about so many of those other guys within the programs, I mean, over the years, and he's one of those players that's just, he's a really, really stud athlete. And, Coach Hobart would probably echo that, knowing Xavier pretty well as well. But, he doesn't get the notoriety that some of the other players get within the program. And to see him have a night like that, that's awesome. Hats off to him.
And they really needed it, because this was the closest game that Kendrick has played by far this year. They had a close one with Grangeville very early on that they won in the non-conference, but this was a White Pine game. They won it 9-7. So this was kind of a back and forth affair between these two. Kendrick is still undefeated, 5-0 overall, 3-0 in White Pine League play. Clearwater Valley is also 3-0. Genesee is 2-0. We talked about the White Pine last week in baseball and how difficult this league is going to be. I mentioned the best team hadn't even played yet. That was the Troy Trojans. They played finally at the South Fork Slugfest in Kuski, hosted by Clearwater Valley over the weekend. We'll get to that in a second. But our IdahoSports.com colleague, our sales manager, Ryan Holden, Dom Holden is his son, star pitcher for Troy. He messaged me and goes, just when I thought, we were going to be able to fly under the radar a little bit, Baney goes on the Prepcast and says Troy's the best team in the league and the 3-time defending state champs. He goes, he must have blacked out when Potlatch beat us for the title last year. Yeah, totally went over my head. So
I'll let you fall on that landmine.
Yeah. It was one of those. Yeah. I've broadcasted like 3 of the last 4 2A previously 1A state baseball tournaments for IdahoSports.com, and last year I didn't. And so I'm just used to seeing Troy. I guess I just in my mind I was like, oh yeah, Troy did it again last year, and out of sight, out of mind. But no slight.
President Potlatch didn't send a lynch mob after you or something for admitting that one, but yeah.
Yes. So Troy and Potlatch, ironically, are the only 2 teams that have not begun White Pine play yet. Potlatch is 2-1 on the season. Already games against Troy and Kendrick have both been postponed. So weather rearing its head. We'll see if Troy can finally get going in White Pine play Thursday. That would be tomorrow against Prairie. So we will see there. South Fork Slugfest took place this past weekend. Clearwater Valley hosted it, a little 5-team affair. It was Clearwater Valley and Troy from the north. We had 2 teams come from Southern Idaho, Vision Charter, and maybe that was it. Let me see here. I thought there was 5 teams. Oh yeah, Vision Charter and Coal Valley Christian came up from Southern Idaho, and then Liberty Christian from Washington came over and competed. Where's Liberty Christian located?
Tri-Cities. Yeah, it's in the Tri-Cities.
Okay. And that's a really good baseball program for Washington.
Yeah, historically pretty good club. Yep.
Yes. Okay. So Coal Valley Christian wins the tournament. Liberty Christian takes second place. It was a round robin. You got 4 games in over 3 days, and they had to modify the schedule a little bit to avoid the rain, but they got every single game in, plus the Friday night skills competition, which is always a lot of fun too. So the 4th annual South Fork Slugfest, a rousing success. As for our teams from North Idaho, Troy did finally make their season debut. They defeated Clearwater Valley 11-6. Again, this game doesn't count in the league standings, but it's a nice feather in the cap for Troy to start things off. They fell to Coal Valley Christian 11-2. They were shut out by Liberty Christian 16-0. And then they wrapped up with a win over Vision Charter 11-1. So Troy goes 2-2 here. And I think work in progress, maybe still early on this season. They've got some remnants of that dynastic run they've been on, but they're also trying to incorporate some new pieces.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at also the competition level that they're playing against. I mean, Coal Valley is a 4A team. And then you look at, playing Liberty Christian out of the Tri-Cities area. I mean, just from drawing from a larger base. I mean, they're a 2B school in the state of Washington, so it'd be the equivalent of playing, a league game. But, it's that 2B also is kind of, I would say it's more close probably to a 3A or a 2A, Idaho, the larger side of the 2A schedule. But anyways, I mean, I wouldn't, mail it in as far as thinking that the sky's falling with the program. The season's early and you got to take your lumps early on. And, you haven't gotten the bats out. You haven't really been able to do much just because weather's been so, crummy at times. In the days that have been nice, there's nothing scheduled. So, there's nothing you can really do about that. But, I think as competitive as this conference is going to be, they're going to turn, the tide's going to turn. But they're going to have to, get a running start coming in through the league schedules as things start to pop up the next week or so.
Yep. Clearwater Valley went 1-3. They, like Troy, defeated Vision Charter, and then they fell to Coal Valley Christian, Liberty Christian, and Troy.
Do you think Vision Charter ever complains about any umpire calls that the umpire can't see?
Right.
Sorry, that was a bad dad joke.
No, that was good. I mean, here's the deal. Like Vision Charter. So we've talked about it, and we'll talk about it when we get closer to state. But like at this level, the 2A, previously 1A level, I mean, the last time a team from the South won the state title, I believe I've got the info in a file on my computer. I think it was like 1997 or 1998, like long time. Like Bill Clinton was in the White House, like the last time a team from the South won this thing. And the last couple of years, Vision Charter has been kind of the premier program. Well, they were so good, and their enrollment has grown so much. They actually are now a 3A school, and they petitioned to stay down. And they said, not a chance. You're playing up in baseball. So they're not even at the 2A level anymore. Anyways, so, I mean, the way this is setting up very early on still, I don't see any team from the South. Glens Ferry, maybe.
Yeah.
But like we've talked about the last couple of years, like it's been a sweep in the opening round. Like all 4 teams from the North have swept. All 4 teams from the South, I don't know, could be headed towards something similar again this year.
Yeah, and I mean, we just talked about the competitive side of the conference and the nature of the beast there within the White Pine. It's been owned by the White Pine League, and I don't see that going away this year. But, we've always seen surprises at the end of the year coming out of districts. And so we've seen the top team get knocked off in the, find their way in through the consolation side and then end up winning state. So, there's been some weird things that have taken place, and it wouldn't surprise me to see that as competitive as this conference is again, that if, Kendrick looks to be on a really nice run right now. And they've got some really good pieces, and they've got offensively, they can, knock the cover off the baseball. But some teams that come in with pitching and getting a solid day from a good starter, I mean, that's all it takes, getting a win in a district playoff game. So, throw the handcuffs on that lineup and can the pitching of their own take over? And that's going to be the question, I think, as season progresses. So, because we've seen offense show up against Kendrick. We've seen teams be able to hit really well. So it's just their offense has been so dynamic, they've been able to outscore the other team. But yeah, I think there's a lot to be seen. I mean, it's still relatively early. So
yes. Let's talk quickly softball. Kendrick softball team got off the schneid last night, got their first win of the season. They beat Prairie. Again, back and forth game, 19-12. They have played kind of a tough schedule against larger teams, and even though some of them are sub-varsity teams, they're still from larger schools. So they competed at that small school tournament to start the season in Lewiston that we talked about. They lost to St. Mary's, the Lewiston JV, the Lewiston C team, and the Orofino JV. They also lost to Grangeville along the way, so they were 0-5, but 1-0 in White Pine League where it counts. Overall, this conference still, Genesee is kind of the team to beat. Unlike the other sports like girls basketball and volleyball and things like that, where Genesee kind of got away from these White Pine teams like Prairie and Potlatch and etc. In softball, they will compete against the absolute best, and they are still the crown jewel of this league, 3-0 in White Pine play.
Yeah, and we've talked about on the competitive side on baseball, it's been pretty similar in softball side, but we still haven't seen. I think they've got games come up still against Genesee. So it's going to be interesting to see how that, league schedule shakes out in the softball side of things too, because that's going to be a pretty good conference this season again, especially with some of the arms that are left. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. Yeah.
The only loss for Genesee this year, they're 5-1 overall, 3-0 in White Pine play. Their only loss came in extra innings, 9 innings to Asotin over there in Washington, and they lost 14-12 in extras. The last time they played was last week. They played Lapway, Ryan. Final score was 37-3. So
Coach Malcolm does such a good job with that program, and the rest of the staff too. We've seen them obviously repeat and with state championships, but they look to be on another meteoric run again this year. But like we say, pitching shows up. Can you throw handcuffs on a team on any given day? And that's going to be, what the opponents are going to be hoping for. But Asotin's a good team. Like that's a really good program also. So, that's not a slouch to be knocked off by if you're Genesee.
Yeah. A date to circle on the calendar. It's a little ways off, but when we get closer to it, we'll talk about it again. April 25th. It's a Friday. Prairie and Genesee and Glens Ferry, kind of the top team from the South. Glens Ferry is going to make the drive up to Cottonwood, and they are going to play Prairie and Genesee on that Friday. And so we are going to know kind of statewide how the two North and South kind of stack against each other. So that's going to be could be a potential state championship preview with Glens Ferry and Genesee potentially. So
realistically, yeah. And I think that is a great job of scheduling. If you're Prairie and Genesee, to be able to get Glens Ferry to make that trip up north to try to split some distance and get some more competition, especially at your level, rather than just playing the large school JV teams.
Yep. So that is what's going on in kind of a lighter week for spring sports because we are on spring break. Next week, we'll get back into the heavy action. And also,
there was a couple track meets that the Lewiston Invite took place last week. After we did our show, and just not to interject and throw too much out there, but Sandpoint Jetta Thate has the #1 javelin throw in the state for the girls at 1:18.5, and Coeur d'Alene Charter has the #1 4x4 time at 4:05. Those were both run down there at the Lewiston Invite, so pretty big deal for them. Just some kind of scoreboard watching a little bit. Sage Elvin still leads the state in the discus and then shot put. Hallie Hartman jumped up on top in the shot put, throwing to 42 feet. So Bonners Ferry thrower back up on the top ranks of the state throwers. That's something that we've grown accustomed to over the last few years.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up. That had kind of slipped my mind, and I believe that was the second track meet ever held at the new P1FCU complex in Lewiston. Yes.
Yeah.
Keep up the good work, track and field athletes, and as the weather warms up, of course, the times and distances should get better and better as well. Okay, so next week, big event, next Saturday, April 12th, one of the great traditions in North Idaho, the North Idaho Athletic Hall of Fame banquet will take place at the Coeur d'Alene Resort in Coeur d'Alene. This is a who's who of high school and college athletes from North Idaho, and then also, historically great athletes that get inducted into the Hall of Fame each and every year. This has been going on for, over 50 years. But last year, for the first time, IdahoSports.com provided a live stream of the Hall of Fame banquet because there are, they give out a male athlete of the year, female athlete of the year. They give out a softball athlete of the year. Every sport you could think of, big school, small school. So there's over 50 award winners, and all of those categories have finalists. So there's a lot of athletes that get recognized at this banquet, but tickets and seating are limited. And so a lot of family members, a lot of friends can't actually go to the resort in person and watch it. And so the fact that we were able to live stream that and so many people were able to tune in from home was a huge public service for us, and excited to announce that we're doing it again this year. Again, that's next Saturday, April 12th. And man, Ryan, you look at the lineup of who's getting inducted into the Hall of Fame this year, some heavy hitters for sure.
Yep. Yeah, no, it's going to be an awesome event once again. And, the fact that we were privileged to be there last year and following some of these teams, and we see so many of the same faces and names that are there again this year. It just shows, some of the year-to-year success within these programs. Coach Hobart, who popped in earlier at the beginning of the Prepcast, he'll be there again, nominated with his team. And at Kendrick, the football team's nominated. There's so many phenomenal athletes and teams within our region, and this is such a cool event. It's not just the high school. The high school kids get to rub shoulders with all the college athletes and coaches as well. So it's a great opportunity just to highlight how much hard work goes in, throughout these kids' seasons, but also, the communities that are surrounded around them. It seemed like, what was it, last year when Bonners Ferry was there, it was like half the town showed up and checked out most of the tables. So I'm sure they paid a premium to get those tables, but it was great to see how many of them were there. And, Kendrick was well represented last year, obviously, with a couple state championship teams. And, we'll expect to see much the same, I think, with, Bonners Ferry being present and nominated in a lot of events. And, it's such a cool night, and just a chance to see and hear from the keynote speakers and from those that are inducted to the adults and stuff that have invested so much into athletics in the communities here in North Idaho. That's a big reason why some of these kids are here, is because of the people that are being inducted into the Hall of Fame also.
Yeah, last year's keynote speaker was Mark Schlereth, former University of Idaho offensive lineman, Super Bowl champion with the Denver Broncos as well. And I remember when it was over, Stetson Spooner, AD football coach at Mullen, who now is in the private sector, he had his Mark Schlereth card all ready to go, and he's like, "You think he would sign this if I went and asked him?" I was like, "Yeah, probably." This year's keynote speaker is going to be just as good. Thomas Ford, who just got hired a couple months ago as the new Vandals head football coach. So new University of Idaho football coach Thomas Ford is going to be this year's keynote speaker. And Hall of Fame inductees, there are going to be 5 of them. Jim Winger, longtime boys basketball coach at Lake City High School, was also the AD for a stint there. Mike Yapati, who played offensive guard for the Idaho Vandals and then played in the NFL for strictly the NFC West, 49ers, Cardinals, Seahawks, never got to the Rams. Debbie Buchanan, who was the head volleyball coach at the University of Idaho for 22 seasons, all-time winningest coach in Idaho Vandal volleyball history. Bart Templeman, former college football and track athlete, high school coach, college coach. He also founded the Ironwoods Throwers Center in Rathdrum, which helps so many local throwers. Yeah. You want to know why North Idaho has so many accomplished throwers in track and field? It's because of Bart Templeman. And then last and certainly not least, Rick Rasmussen, who is actually the chair of the board for the North Idaho Athletic Hall of Fame. But just in terms of what he has done outside of that is enough to induct him into the Hall of Fame this year as well.
Yeah. Part of Tom is an official. He's been a booster. He's, just so invested in the athletic community in North Idaho. So great to see him getting inducted in the Hall of Fame finally. He does a great job with his crew running that event. I mean, it's a very, very neat event that takes place.
Yes. Ryan, I'm looking at all of the categories for like individual winners.
Yeah.
And like who's nominated. If you're at your computer, can you pull up the list and like
I have it right here.
Okay, give me one category that you are most excited to see who wins, because the field is just like so level with all the nominees. And you can go to nihof.org to see all of the nominees.
Some of these lists are massive too.
I know.
I mean, you've got Coach of the Year. That's a good one too. How do you pick in like you go football? Like how do you pick in football? Like a 6A, 5A, there's some studs on that list, but and then even the 4A to 1A list is wild too. I think I went off the main sports last year, but female athlete of the year is going to be pretty interesting too. There's some good names on there. Because I think you could also have an argument that the small school winner probably would be the overall female athlete of the year, fall classifications. Gosh, man, this one's hard. Yeah,
no, that's
I
fine.
look
So,
at.
yeah.
I'll say this: boys basketball 4A to 1A, I think is pretty balanced. How do you pick a winner out of that group? That's crazy.
Okay, let me set up who's nominated in these. So you said female athlete of the year. They divide it by 6A, 5A, and then 4A through 1A. Female athlete of the year, 6A, 5A. The nominees are Matea Nunn from Moscow, Zaya Munier and Landry Simon, both of Lakeland, Addie McArcher from Lewiston, Kelsey Carroll from Coeur d'Alene. Female athlete of the year, 4A through 1A, Haley Anderson from Kendrick, Annabelle Carr from Coeur d'Alene Charter, Sarah Casebolt from Logos. That's a couple of distance runners. Sage Elvin from Prairie, and then a pair of Genesee Bulldogs, Chloe Greaser and Kendra Meyer. And then you mentioned boys basketball, 4A through 1A, and the nominees there are Thomas Bateman from Bonners Ferry, Asher Williams from Bonners Ferry, JJ Yearout from St. Mary's, Nate Stiffel from Priest River, Dave Clute from Kamei, Riley Rhodes at Center from Kendrick, Everett Lovell from Potlatch, Tyson Charlie from Lakeside, Dylan Tosh from Genesis Prep, Ben Connolly from Coeur de Christ, and Hyson Scott from Clearwater Valley. That is one hell of a team, just like filling out a team.
I mean, and you go right to the list below it. Now I'll just go near and dear to my heart. This is the list that's I don't know how you pick. Boys wrestling, that one is insane.
That's what I was going to go with. That was going to be my pick for toughest one to predict. Boys wrestling 6A, 5A. The nominees are Matthew Hamilton and Seth Martin from Post Falls, Colton Tucker and Brock Armstrong from Coeur d'Alene, Garrett Leonard from Lake City, Zach Teal and Carson Leonard, both from Lakeland, and Jordan Tyler from Sandpoint. I have no idea. Like I could see like any of them winning it.
Jordan Tyler, you look at the season. Carson Leonard was Garrett Leonard was absolutely a dominant force for Lake City. I mean, good grief. Seth Martin was a stud. I mean, so Matthew Hamilton's Colt. I mean, yeah, that list is insane. That list to me is wild. I think I know the runaway. I have a hunch at 4A, 3A who I would pick for boys wrestling, and I think it's pretty obvious because he repeated. But that boys basketball list is pretty tough too, 4A, 1A. But I mean, you just go through this. It's gonna be a fun night, and it's gonna be nice to see who wins. Like cross country, it's literally the entire Coeur d'Alene cross country team was nominated for the cross country athlete of the year. So
they were the boys team of the year last year. Coeur d'Alene boys cross country. The team of the year race this year for boys 6A, 5A, Moscow baseball, Coeur d'Alene cross country once again, and Sandpoint swimming. And then team of the year 4A through 1A, Orofino baseball, Potlatch baseball, Kendrick football, Kendrick basketball, Bonners Ferry basketball. That's going to be a tough one to predict. I know my heart says Orofino baseball just because of the incredible after Drew Hanna tragically passed away and the fact that they were competing for the first time without him and they won the state championship and they brought his jersey out as they were getting their championship pins, and it got very dusty in here all of a sudden. And it's just like, that was such a powerful moment. But I also look at like, man, Kendrick football, Bonners Ferry basketball, Kendrick, oh my gosh, that's going to be tough to predict. And then just to wrap up, the girls team of the year race, the nominees for 6A, 5A are Sandpoint tennis and Sandpoint swimming. So either way, Sandpoint's walking out with the trophy. And then girls team of the year, 4A through 1A, Genesee softball or Logos track. So it's going to be interesting for sure.
Yeah. No, I think it's going to be very interesting, and it would be cool to see Coach Anderson and his tennis team get the team of the year as far as Sandpoint tennis goes. And just a guy he's been, and he's nominated for Coach of the Year for 6A, 5A, along with Greg Jackson. So, I think you can make a case that one doesn't win it, the coach is going to win the other one, and vice versa. But it's pretty cool to see, all these names that are listed, and they're going to be there and be present. Most of them should be. The other one that's going to be cool too is they're recognizing the college athlete away from home, and Ridge Lovett from Nebraska, NCAA national champion wrestler, is going to be there, and they're going to honor him that night too, which is going to be super awesome. And 3-time Big Ten placer, 2-time Big Ten champ, All-American at the NCAA level, national champion. That's, you talk about the career that he's had and he will continue to have in the sport of wrestling, as he grows older. I don't want to say grows up, because he's a young man now, but yeah, it's pretty awesome that the shoulders will get a rub, with being there. It's going to be a ton of fun.
He won the award last year as well. Ridge Lovett did for wrestling at the University of Nebraska. So this will be the second year in a row he's going to be recognized with that away from home designation there. And then you mentioned just quickly Sandpoint girls tennis. That might be the least amount of drama surrounding, girls tennis athlete of the year, like Pepper Rickert from Sandpoint. Like, I don't know how you don't go with Pepper, but
she won it 4 times. That's the question.
She might. I mean, honestly, we're talking about, and I'll have to ask Sean Kane. He's our resident tennis expert here at IdahoSports.com. But in terms of like most accomplished tennis players in Idaho history, like, you got to think if Pepper Rickert continues on the trajectory she's on, I mean, one of the all-time greats, maybe the GOAT.
Realistically, you look at her national ranking and stuff too, she could end up on a pro circuit someday. So, that's a big deal. And, you look at trajectory as far as career so far and how she does nationally in the amateur tournaments. She holds her own. So there's no reason you couldn't expect to see a huge things from her. Just like we've seen with golf in the state of Idaho and stuff too, like some of these other sports that don't get the notoriety. There's been some phenomenal athletes that have come out of our state.
Yep, for sure. So again, this is the North Idaho Athletic Hall of Fame Awards Banquet next Saturday, April 12th, live on IdahoSports.com. We're also going to stream it to all of the places you tune in to the North Idaho Prepcast, the IdahoSports.com Facebook page, YouTube channel, X account, and of course, we'll have it on our website, IdahoSports.com as well. So a lot of different places you can pop on and watch this. It starts at 6:30 Pacific time, and that's when we will start our coverage as well. Really, there's like a brief introduction, and then everyone eats dinner. And then really we get rolling with the awards and the speakers kind of closer to 7. But we will start that coverage at 6:30 for the opening remarks. So,
maybe we can do a live coverage of Paul eating. We can
yeah.
That's a little box in the corner you can watch Paul eating. Yeah.
Allegedly, Paul Kingsbury is going to be up here to help us with the production. We will see. We will see. He's been a busy guy lately. So, all right. We are so excited for that and a chance to not just stream this and provide that service, but then like the athletes that are there in person, it's nice to finally get to talk to them because
please come say hi. Absolutely. Come say hi, please.
Yeah. Because we do this every week and we're kind of online, as it were. we do get out in the field to broadcast games and events like that, but they're kind of isolated events. This is like, okay, all the athletes are in one place. So that's going to be really cool. So
I mean, outside of like maybe doing the All-Star game for basketball, I mean, it's the only time we see basically all the athletes in one location.
Yeah. So we're really looking forward to it. We'll be in the back. Please stop by and say hi. We really appreciate it. So, all right, Ryan, I will let you get back to your spring break, and hopefully the rock
break
business.
For me, but yeah, I mean,
hopefully, have you come up with a name for Owen's Rock Business?
I don't know. I know that my wife and him are trying to come up with one and a logo. So, because she does graphic design and stuff, so I know that he's at least got that part covered. So he helped her with that, which would be pretty neat. He's stoked about it. So he wants to make stickers too. So yeah, it's
go kick rocks.
Seriously. Kick rocks. That's right.
Yep. All right. Well, thanks for tuning into the North Idaho Prepcast, everybody. Enjoy the spring break. Hopefully the weather lessens with the rain and a little sunshine comes in. For Ryan Scaggs, I'm Brandon Baney, and we will see you next week on IdahoSports.com.